we get to kind of go inside the game of sports and kind of dig in a little bit. And Steve Clark is here, Vice President of Operations there at Ave Maria Radio, and it's great to have him on.
Good morning, Steve.
A lot to talk
Hi,
about
Steve.
this morning. I'll just bet you got a lot to talk about, right?
Yeah, we got a lot to cover this morning.
Good morning, everyone. There is a lot to talk about. There's obviously the nuts and bolts, but there are all the stuff that's going on inside the game. We're probably not going to get through all of it this week, but we'll just play it by ear, so to speak, on radio to see how it goes. First of all, the Lions win 44-22.
Yeah.
Look
As
good.
Detroit puts up 546 yards over the Jaden Daniels Washington Commanders. Lions still tied for second in the division with Chicago a half game behind Green Bay in the NFC North. The story inside the game, though, is what head coach Dan Campbell was doing on the field, wearing a pair of reading glasses and apparently calling plays.
Yeah.
The Lions scored their first 8 possessions a week after the offense looked horrible at home against Minnesota. So what's happening with offensive coordinator John Morton, who stepped up for Coach Ben Johnson, who took the Bears head coaching job last season? I'm sure those questions will be asked today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he said he's calling the plays, right? We know he was calling the plays yesterday. Was that confirmed or?
He didn't deny it. He just
Okay.
said it was a changeup. But,
Okay.
Usually a changeup in baseball means I'm going to throw one pitch that's a little bit different than all the
You're
others
right,
before
yeah.
going back to my stuff. But is the changeup going to be permanent? We shall see.
Boy, talking about baseball, Steve, we've got non-baseball baseball news.
Yeah, well, Cleveland Guardians pitchers Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz has been charged with multiple conspiracies related to rigging pitches
Gee.
that won gamblers hundreds of thousands of dollars who were tipped off. Both were
Wow.
put on leave this past summer as the investigation grew. Ortiz's lawyers denied the charges. Now, this is on the heels of similar charges to Terry Rozier, who is alleged to be taking himself out of the game, feigning an injury in order for bettors with prior knowledge to clean up on the under for his personal statistics.
Wow.
Instead of fixing games or a series outright like the Black Sox scandal over 100 years ago, the amount of prop bets that are available for bettors is almost too numerous to count. And it looks like the new way of doing things is finding some obscure prop bet, put a bunch of money into it, have the athlete participate in something minor that maybe nobody notices, and then get away with big profits. Here's the problem. They're underestimating the betting regulators who are finding out a number of people putting bets online for something they probably wouldn't normally. And then the obscene amount of cash that's being made on such a minor prop bet is tipping people off. So my advice is if you're trying to score this way in the betting game, and you shouldn't be doing it because it's not ethical, is you got to be a little bit more obscure, bet a little less money, and tell fewer people about it.
Right.
That's just my advice.
Well, and there's a big conflict here, right? You have these athletes, both basketball and baseball now, that have been found to be engaged in scandals regarding betting, and yet you have all of these athletes out there promoting these betting sites. So it's gonna things are gonna clash at some point.
So it's called hypocrisy, and
Yeah.
there's quite a bit of it. We'll be discussing more hypocritical things as the weeks go by. But in the wake of this aforementioned NBA scandal and now Major League Baseball, ESPN is dissociating itself with Penn Entertainment, who had a partnership that created the heavily promoted ESPN Bet.
Oh, wow.
ESPN Bet is still being talked about even on ESPN this morning, but there is a disassociation between the two, and people are just seeing that this is not good. I mean, this is far from Pete Rose in terms of the outcomes of games, but it's too easy now to be able for you and me to make bets on things, and over any little bet, and that Major League Baseball players or professional players in general, or even worse, collegiate players can be involved in sort of fixing minor plays within a game itself.
Well, and again, we said at the top we had so much to cover this morning, and I appreciate that text you sent to me earlier when I said, we'd really like to get to all of this. And you said the easiest way to that is if you say very little. You said that to me, but that's okay. And I get it. But we want to do this college football roundup. And then you've got something on your slate today that I'm not familiar with at all. A potential earthquake and huge tsunami for the future of the Big Ten is coming up. I got to hear this.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, Ohio State and Indiana remains number 1 and 2 in the latest AP coaches poll. Will we see if the playoff committee agrees on this? Kurt Signetti and his team just basically refused to lose after a dramatic win in Happy Valley, the first time Indiana has beaten Penn State in Beaver Stadium. It appears after the first week that the committee's using the eye test to determine rankings. We'll talk more about that next week. The thing that I think you want to hear about is something that broke over Sunday afternoon from Yahoo News and their reporter Ross Dellinger. And this is something to look out in the next week or two here, is the Big Ten apparently wants to go forward with a deal with a California pension fund that would distribute billions to Big Ten athletic departments and institutions over the next 20 years.
Wow.
For a big piece of the Big Ten revenue pie, and an extension of the grant of rights extension for an additional 10 years to 2046. It was supposed to be a unanimous vote, but Michigan and USC expressed their opposition to the proposal for different reasons. Now the 16 teams say, we don't need a unanimous vote. We want to do it anyway without them, which can really has, huge ramifications. One, both Michigan and USC would be without over $100 million in an upfront payment that everyone else would be given, plus the yearly stipend that would come along with it. But also their membership in the Big Ten could change as soon as 2036, as essentially for Michigan and USC, if they don't agree to this package, could essentially be a free agent, while other Big Ten teams are stuck under the current contract until 2046.
Oh, good.
I know this is a long time off, guys, but in the next 2 weeks, the Big Ten wants to vote to accept this deal. And what that might mean for Michigan, USC, the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry could be in the balance.
Oh, my goodness. And now I realize why we've not found Jimmy Hoffa's body. He put this deal together, it sounds like.
Yeah. Wow. That's going to be, that's pretty major. Wow.
Hey, and there's another story brewing in the Big Ten. Michigan has a route to the playoffs, an absolute route, and that is to go undefeated for the rest of the season, which means they can get to the playoffs if they beat Ohio State this year. I mean, that's a possibility.
Well, that's what Michigan fans are hanging on to. You have to win out. By beating Ohio State and them being number 1 at the time, would be possibly enough to propel them into the rankings as having the best win in the collegiate football season with 2 losses.
You have to say it's a viable route.
Ohio State's
possible
in that game.
Yeah.
No, I'm not nervous, are you, Dave?
Are you kidding? No, yeah. Well, we have a bit of a track record going into this one, so
Steve
of course.
Clark, thank you very much for taking us inside.